Hi, I'm Rachel, and this is my Author's Answer video for May 2026. The Author's Answer series was brought to AuthorTube by J.D. Archer. He and his writing group convened for several questions and answers over on his blog. I think over 150 total, something like that. It was just a series, a weekly series of reading and writing related questions that they asked and answered themselves, and then JD, brought a couple or a handful of those questions and answers over to his own AuthorTube channel. So I will link to all of that information down below, as well as my playlist for AuthorTube, most of which is my own Author's Answer responses that I've been doing now for several years. I've made it my tradition to do one per month for the past several years. I go in sequential order, and I am all the way up this month to question number 110. And question number 110 is, have you ever made a book trailer? And if so, share it. Or if not, what would you do for your trailer? So anyway, I'm actually dealing with very little battery here, so we'll see if I can answer this relatively quickly. I have not ever made a book trailer for anything I've worked on. I guess I'd be open to it. That seems like the easy answer anyway to say for somebody who's active on BookTube. Like, would you use, video for marketing? And I guess I already technically am, although I'm very much an amateur booktuber, and I definitely would want to put significant thought into a trailer if I were to make one. Maybe I'd be working with marketing, like a person or, of some sort of help somehow with that, I guess. The truth is, where I am right now, I'm pretty far from thinking about publishing and marketing. It feels like I'm still very mired in writing and editing. So I don't know. I almost want to keep myself, more focused as I can, even though, sometimes I listen to music and I even listen to trailers. Like, I talked in a recent video for AuthorTube about the Dune trailer that recently came out. There's also the His Dark Materials Season 3 trailer from a few years ago that, give me vibes about some of the ideas I have for my fantasy project. But first of all, those are for like a book in the future. So I definitely want to rein myself in and keep, in my head, remind myself that vibes aren't exactly the same as actually writing and editing and getting the story down and marketing the story later on. So that's just something to keep in mind. I mean, I am writing, as I said, I'm writing fantasy, and I think there is a general understanding that fantasy tends to, bring in a visual audience. There's a lot of fantasy adaptations. Fantasy tends to be spectacular in a lot of ways, so the visual media can help. Although I do like the idea of reminding everyone that books still offer something, and they can offer a little more interiority than, movie and TV adaptations sometimes, although those are great too. But anyway, I don't know if I'm getting off track here a bit. Maybe one thing I do have to think about is the idea that I am active, even in a very small fry way, on BookTube and on AuthorTube, even less so. But if I do get published, how would I bring this very amateur setup into my own marketing for anything I publish in the future? I mean, I have published and talked about some short stories on this channel, but if the novel, what would I do with this channel? And maybe I would actually add a book trailer, because that does make the most amount of sense. And maybe it doesn't even have to. Obviously, I'm not, a director working for Hollywood, so it doesn't have to be too cinematic either. So maybe there's that as well. The only major impetus, I guess, the first one is making sure that, it draws people in a good way that would then not disappoint them if, it's mismarketed somehow. You definitely don't want to do that. You want to market it in a way that will get the audience to, align with what you're doing. And then, of course, also don't get into any copyright disputes and that too. Anyway, I think that's all I'll say, because I'm now onto the slash part of the battery. So that about covers it for me now. And again, I'll leave links to AuthorTube stuff down below. And I hope to be back on this channel in the next couple of days with my Would You Read It Challenge video, which is another monthly tag that I do where I look at ballots of the BookTube Prize of yesteryear and consider their opening paragraphs, so stay tuned for that. And in the meantime, thanks so much for watching, everyone. Keep writing, and I'll see you next time.